Hello everyone, I'd like to use this video as an introduction to the ABB Robot Basic Jogging. There are many tutorial and videos on YouTube. You can search on the internet. But in my video, I'm going to focus on the transition from the FANUC robot because we already learned some of the basic jogging method from FANUC. So now we want to transition into the ABB robot. So most specifically, I'm going to talk about 3 different ways: joint, roll, and tool. And be aware that there are many other different ways, different methods to jog the ABB robot and also FANUC robot. We only are talking about some basic of the methods, all right? So first, let's start with the joint coordinate. That's the term we use for the FANUC robot because most typical robot has 6 axes count from bottom and J1, J2, and J3. Right, so they are the what we call the major axes. Right, so then if you keep counting, then you will have J4, J5, and J6. Those are the minor axes for the rotation, right? For the tooling rotation. So with the ABB robot, it has the same setup. So right now you're seeing the over here, that's the same that's the same installation as the 6-axis FANUC robot, right? So you can see that's J1 and J2. That's J2, J1, J2, J3. So those are the 3 major axes, right? So we can rotate them individually by using teach pendant. So for the ABB robot has the they call the flex pendant. So that right now I'm just using the robot simulation and also the teach pendant simulation on here. So the starting point of the teach pendant, again, you can learn from many other tutorials. For here, I just want to give a very direct introduction on the operations. All right. So if you click on the corner, that's identical to the Windows Start menu. So everything provided by the teach pendant, you can get access from here. So we mostly focus on jogging. So once you click on here, you can see here, there's the tab on the task menu. You can choose between on that, right? Choose between different windows. So once you are in the jogging menu, the screen allow you to have the configuration on the motion mode and coordinate system and tool. Those are the 3 things we're going to talk about, right? Of course, there are also other things like a world object. You can see here, for here, we just choose accept the default. And in this robot, I don't have any tooling attached on the robot arm, right? So I just accept the default. So that is a tool 0, object 0. Those are the 2 default settings. In our lab, we will set up a welding gun. So you will choose the tool with the welding gun, right? So those are the 2 settings you need to understand first. So in order to jog the ABB robot in joint, so you need to click the motion mode. Once you click open that menu, you will have the axis 1 to 3, 4 to 6. So that corresponds to the 6 axis, right? So if you choose the 1 to 3, click OK. Then notice over here, the coordinate system become grayed out, right? You cannot change that anymore because the axis 1 to 6 or joined in the FANUC term is not a coordinate system, right? You can only jog those 6 axes individually or combine them together, right? So on the right-hand side, with underneath the position, you see the angles from 1 to 6 axes, right? In ABB robot teach pendant, you use the joystick, right? That's over here. So that's the same device you use to play video game, right? So with that, you can only have 3 movement. So that's why you need to choose 1 to 3 and 4 to 6 separate. So if you look at here, so if that means the horizontal way, control number 1, vertical way, control number 3, and twist, rotate, control number 3. All right, so let's look at the number 1. If I press this way, that simulate we flip the joystick on the right hand side in horizontal, so you can see the robot start to move, to rotate. Right, that's J1. And notice here, this is the angle 62, 90, 98. If you press the other way, that's gonna reduce. Right, so the 2 different directions, similar to the FANUC robot. Right. And number 2 will be the vertical, right? So either you can going down and then move up. You see here, and then you can also look at the number change here, right? Not only the movement that indicate the number 2 change. Number 3, you need a twist on the joystick, so you can move the number 3, the axis up and down, right? Notice there's only the number 3 changing on the angles, right? So if you understand this, 4 to 6, that'll be exactly the same way, just use the same movement, control different axes, right? Number 4 will be the horizontal, right? So number 4, you can twist that on here. You can see the movement. Again, you can see the number change on the number 4, right? You can see that, right? Number 5, vertical, right, on the joystick. Number 6, there will be the tooling. So with that, you don't see the movement, but you will see the plate, the face plate change. That's where you mount the tooling, right? So the 3 line over here we call triad, that represent the, you can see the blue is Z, the green is Y, the red is X, right? So if I twist that, that will rotate the number 6 around, right? So you can see the number is 58. If I twist the other way, that's going to reduce, go back to almost towards to 0 degree, right? So that's the joint movement with the ABB robot, right? So back in the FANUC robot, we also learned world coordinate, right? So we use right-hand rule to predict the direction of TCP movement, right? That in linear, right? So that's X, Y, Z. We already learned that. Not only that, we also learned the rotation, right? The upper 6 keys control the TCP move in a linear fashion. The lower 6 keys will rotate the tooling around X and Y and Z. That's what we learned with the right-hand rule. And if you jog robot in world, right, this is something you will see that if you rotate, right, so again, all right, the first the upper 6 move the TCP in linear motion. The lower 6 keys doesn't move the TCP to different location, but instead rotate different angles, right? So that's the right-hand rule with the FANUC robot on the world coordinate, right? So let's look at the corresponding changes with the ABB robot, right? So again, you need to start with the motion mode, and then remember linear movement, right? So choose linear, click OK. So once you move the motion in linear, the coordinate, if you click on here, you will see 4 different choices: world and base and tool and work object. Work object, I'm not going to talk about. That's more advanced, probably a different topic, different video. All right, but for the first 2, with world and the base, if the robot installed exactly what I'm showing you on this one, they are the same, because the base is on the floor, right? So that's the same direction with world. But in some situation, robot can be mounted upside down. So like on the gantry, so the base will be on the ceiling. So that world will be different from the base. And also the base could be mounted on the sideway on the robot, right? So that's why you have two different options. But in most situations, especially in this one installation, they are the same. So I just choose world, right? To be very clear on that. So once you click on that, you will see the settings on here, motion, linear, and coordinate system, world. Again, with the tool, we don't have anything. You can see here, if you choose that's the only one, because we don't have any tooling attached on that. That's not available for other choice. But in our lab, we will have a welding gun. So then you will have to make sure you choose that tooling. All right. So this is the settings you need to set up. With work object, just choose the default. All the others, you can just accept the default. You don't need to make a change, right? So over here, we have the movement on the joystick that will make change on X, Y, Z differently, right? So for example, if you, again, we stand in front, direct front of the robot, right? So if you flip the joystick to downwards, that will make the TCP in linear fashion move close to you. All right, so let me get the pencil on here. So that will make this TCP go to this direction, right? If you understand the FANUC robot, you understand the movement. That will make the robot move closer to you if you stand in front of robot. So let's try that. So when I press that, you can see that movement here. And then notice on that the millimeter value will increase, right? And then going to the boundary on here. I need to go the other way, then reduce the numbers on here. And same thing for Y, right? If you flip on the right, again, if you stand in front of the robot, then that will move the TCP onto your right and that to your left. You can also see the number change on there, right? So that pretty match up with your standing position, right? So that's why lots of people, they like these settings with the ABB robot, because the movement of the joystick match up with the robot TCP movement. And same thing to the Z, right? Imagine that the twisting movement, if you go to the counterclockwise, imagine that be like you're turning a screw, or maybe a lid on a bottle, right? So if you go the counterclock, that will go up, right? So same thing, you will see the robot will go up. Let's go up. And then if you rotate in the clockwise, right, you are rotating the screw downwards, right? Similar to the robot, the TCP movement, right? So that's the three movement with the XYZ. All right, so this is, I think, on this aspect, ABB is more direct, right? Has better setup than the FANUC robot, right? So then let's look at the rotation. Remember, we talked about the rotation, right? So if we don't want to move the robot to different TCP to other location, but instead we want to rotate on the XYZ, how do we do that? So we still going to world, over here, we need to change the motion mode. Remember, currently we are in the linear, right? So that's linear movement, but we want to do the rotation change. So that's the reorientate. So we need to choose this option, click OK. Then we're still using the world, and the tool again right now is default. You may have a different the setup in the lab. You have to choose the corresponding tooling. So once we set up this, the XYZ will not change when you pushing the joystick. So you will not see the XYZ number change. Instead, you will see the angle change. So right now you can see the rotation around Z, Y, X. You may see some different setup. Like for example, if that's this setup, you will see Q1 to Q4. It's just different representations on the 3D rotation, right? So when you are seeing this, if you want to look at the XYZ rotation, just change back to this angle on here. Then you will see the 3 angles on here. So let's try that. Let's verify that. All right. So for example, if we want rotate around, let's say Y, right? Y will be horizontal, right? So if I'm pressing this, then you see the robot movement. If you understand the FANUC rotation, that's exactly as what you see on the FANUC robot, all right? So you can see the angle change, right? There are some other changes on the X and Z, but they are minor. But mostly that will change on Y, all right? So similar to X, you can see here, right? So rotate around X. If you remember, if you understand the rotation from the FANUC, that's exactly the same thing as the FANUC robot, because you can see this one is the X rotation, right? It's the X direction, and then rotation is just around that, right? So you can see that's from there, right? Let me clear that, and then I'd like to show you again. All right, so let's try on the X rotation. That's this way. If you go the other direction, then you can see the X robot rotate on that, right? And on the Z or Z direction, which is the vertical line, you will see, if I twist the joystick, you will see the robot movement on that, right? So then it may not be very obvious, probably in this way it's a little bit, yeah, you can see here, it's more easily to look at that, right? So on the, again, you can see this time only the Z change, X, Y doesn't change, right? You can see here, the angle change, it just rotate around Z on here. All right, so this is the corresponding set configurations on the world. Again, just a recap, all right? So if you want to jog the ABB robot in joint, right, just choose the axis 1 to 3 or 4 to 6, right? You can use joystick to move 3 at a time, all right? So, one of course, you mean that either 1 to 3 or 4 to 6, right? One at a time. So that's basically the joint. So with that, you don't have to worry about the coordinate system. But when you want to jog in world, for the first right-hand rule, you need to use linear. When you use linear, you need to make sure world and the tooling set up appropriately. And then the first right-hand rule in the linear fashion. And the second right-hand rule, the rotation, you have to choose here, right? A little bit different from the FANUC robot, but if you understand, then that will do the trick, right? So that's the corresponding changes with the ABB robot teach pendant, all right? So then let's look at the last one. Speaking of the TCP, right? There's one movement we use a lot. It's called the two frame. Especially on the Z movement, right? So either at this point you already learned that, or maybe in the future you will learn that in different labs, right? So in some situation like this, for example, in the lab, we want to use the robot gripper to pick up the stick, right? So pull it out from the cube, right? So imagine that for the movement, you have to move your tooling to inside the stick. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can have a better understanding. So notice these two positions change different. So this one is like at the tip of the stick. You can line up the gripper with the stick, and then you need move your tooling along the same direction, same angle with the stick, and the tooling going to deeper in order to grab the stick. Right? You notice that difference between these two positions from here, and you go into deeper, right? So this type of movement, if you only rely on the joint or the world, it's very awkward. Either very awkward, or maybe even it's impossible to do that. Right. So with the FANUC robot, you just need to jog in Z direction. We have the different video, a different topic, right? So that's just the conclusion. You have to do that. So how do we do that in the ABB robot, right? So for example, you can see this is just a default setting, right? So you can see the tooling is this direction. Again, the blue line is the Z direction. So for example, if I want to do something in this direction on here, so for example, that's the stick, right? So we want to go into this direction, right? How do we do that? Right, so we need to make the tooling move exactly as the blue line. And let me zoom in a little bit, right? We want robot movement follow exactly as the blue line on here. That's the Z direction. So on the teach pendant, you just need to set up on the different motion mode. So this time you need to change it back to linear because we want move in linear fashion. So that's linear, same as before, but this time different is here. Before we choose the coordinate in world, but this time we choose the third option, tool. So we want to jog along the tool in the linear fashion, right? So I already explained the red and the green, they are the X and Y, right? That's useful, but sometimes not as useful as the blue, the Z direction. So with the Z or Z direction, we need to twist the joystick, right? One way or the other, right? So if I go this way, you can see that goes in. And then if you rotate in the other direction, that's gonna go out, right? So this is a very cool movement on this situation, on the application like this. All right. So this time I want you to pay attention on the position readings on here. Those three angles, rotation around XYZ, they don't change because we maintain the same orientation. The data on the location on the XYZ, they change, right? So watch those. Also watch the movement, right? So as I twist the joystick, the XYZ little bit, yeah. I already reached too far. XYZ, they change, right? The angle, the three rotation angle, they don't change. They maintain the same rotation, but the location of the TCP, they change because we want to either go in or go out. All right, it's very handy or convenient when you are doing some movement with the part in angle, right? So that's the three basic jogging method I want you to understand. All right, so that's it. I think again, maybe there are also other different type of movement. We can talk about that in a different video. All right. Okay.